I'd like you to hear from a few staff who've discovered a very successful way to raise support. Here's how it works. You ask a ministry partner to host a small dinner for you. They invite their friends to come and meet you and hear about your work. Listen to those who have used this small dinner strategy.
In our past 13 years of raising support, we've really struggled.
Support raising is not my favorite thing to do. At times it's hard for me to even get motivated to do it.
Bob really does dislike raising support.
I have found something that I can really enjoy doing.
The dinner strategy is different.
This was the most enjoyable, comfortable, easy, meaningful strategy I've ever used.
The host invites 3 to 5 of the closest Christian friends to come. Not only do they invite them to come, but they actually go, or it's like they're on the appointment with you, and they introduce you and say nice things about you. Now, who wouldn't want that to happen?
When we first heard about the strategy, we were very motivated to try it.
I'll call, like the wife of a real committed supporter, and say, would you be open to having a dinner party for us?
Most of our present supporters are untapped as far as who they know and how they could help us.
While I would encourage both husband and wives to do them together, I've seen that they can be successful if only the husband can do it.
They call the 2 to 4 couples, they get them over there.
If I were to do 10 appointments in 9 days on a support trip like that, I'd be real tickled.
The thing that we enjoy, I think, about the dinner party strategy is that someone else does all the work.
Just tell them that we're coming to town and that we'd like to get to know some of their friends.
You're able to talk to a number of people at one time, and it's so simple and comfortable for everybody.
I guess we kind of got hooked on doing the dinner parties after we stepped out on faith and set up 3 in one support trip.
We sent out letters to 11 of our supporters and phoned them back, and 5 said that they could do it.
I asked 5 of my supporters if they would host parties for me, and 3 of them have done so far.
They said that they would really like to, but that they were going camping that weekend with some friends.
And on one particular support trip, we had 7 supporters host dinners for us.
Well, you guessed it. After dinner that night from the grill, we were sitting around the campfire, and we got to present what we do.
After dinner, we go into the living room or the family room and show a video, if we have one, about our ministry.
An added bonus is that this strategy can actually make raising support a fun thing to do, and it's because of the intimate atmosphere that is created.
It's not like the kind of the hit and run quick luncheon meeting.
By the time you get to the end of the evening, you really are on a first-name basis with these people.
We found ourselves finding that we had made friends that night instead of just simply trying to raise funds.
The Lord raised several $100s a month support.
It causes our supporters' level of commitment to increase to us.
And it's really been a terrific strategy for us.
Gosh, if it's worked for us, it could certainly work for anybody else.
Low pressure.
And that makes support raising fun.
The small dinner strategy can be a very effective way to raise your personal support. Hi, I'm Bob Horner. Jan and I signed on with Campus Crusade for Christ to invest our lives in people and helping to fulfill the Great Commission. And we knew at the outset that this would only be possible as people invested their finances in us. We've learned a lot in our more than 30 years of support development, and this small dinner strategy is proving to be a very effective means to raise support. For the next few minutes, we're going to show you how this valuable and rather simple strategy works. Small dinners are a very personal way of meeting new ministry partners. Think of it. You're in a home, around a dinner table, you're making new friends, and they are wanting to know about your ministry. And those who are using this strategy find that for every 3 ministry partners they ask, at least 1 will say yes to hosting a dinner. In the few minutes ahead, we will follow 5 simple steps. First, we will determine who can host a small dinner. Then we will discuss how to ask ministry partners to host a dinner. Next, we will look at some questions we can use in getting to know the dinner guests and how to make our support presentation. And then finally, we will see how to best follow up after the dinner. As you see this unfold, picture yourself at a dinner in the home of one of your ministry partners. It doesn't matter whether you're single or a married couple, a seasoned staff member or just out of school, or perhaps you're making a career change into vocational ministry. I think you'll agree, this will work for you. Paul and Leah are the staff couple we'll watch through the process. They have decided that the small dinner approach will help them.
I made a list of our ministry partners in the St. Louis area and came up with 9 people we could ask to have dinners for us.
Now why these 9?
Well, they're the ones we have the closest relationship with. Plus, they say if we ask 9 that we'll end up with at least 3 dinners. What we can do is send them a letter this week and follow it up with a phone call next week.
Since we know the Venemas and the Marlows so well, why don't we just give them a phone call and not send them a letter?
It's a great idea. Why don't you call Millie, since y'all are good friends, and I'll call the Marlows tomorrow night.
This is exciting. We should really pray that God would go before us.
That's exciting. I'm glad to hear Jen's doing so well in college. I was calling to see if you and Trudy have decided about hosting a small dinner party for us. Great. You know what? Tuesday of that week's already taken. How does Thursday look on your calendar? Okay, we'll pencil you in. One thing we found that really works well is if you invite your close friends. Well, I can send you a small outline that will help you when you make your calls. Great. Listen, thanks again for your help. Tell Trudy we appreciate her, and we'll talk again before the dinner. Okay, bye-bye. Well, I just talked to the Johnsons, Marlows, and Myers.
So, what'd they say?
The Johnsons weren't quite comfortable with the idea of asking people to support us, but the Marlows and Myers both said yes.
That's exciting. So what does that make? 4 dinners in all?
Actually, it's 3 dinners and a brunch after church on Sunday.
The first dinner is just about 4 weeks away. Let's make it a point to pray every day that God would work out the details.
That's a great idea.
Just like Paul and Leah, you can expect at least 1 out of every 3 ministry partners to host a dinner for you. Maybe even 1 out of 2. The outline Paul mentioned he would send is included in the how-to manual that came with this video. You should mail, fax, or email this outline to your hosts once they decide to hold a dinner for you. About 2 weeks before the dinner, you will want to make follow-up phone calls to confirm that the dinners are underway. And if your hosts haven't already phoned their friends, you want to encourage them to begin. Well, believe it or not, a month has already passed, and Paul and Leah are in St. Louis, and they're having their 4th small dinner.
Well, Paul, it's our pleasure. We really believe in what you're doing, and if we can use our influence to help you along, well, we're glad to do it.
Thanks, we really appreciate that. And you know, Dick, when you reintroduce us a little bit later, it'd be really helpful if you could mention why you support us financially and what our ministry's meant to you.
Sure, be glad to do it.
Trudy, what we'd like to do after dinner is move to the family room for our presentation and then come back to the dining room for dessert.
Great.
And one more thing. You'll want to use the time as people arrive and during the dinner to get to know the guests.
John, what do you find most challenging about your law practice?
Well, you probably expect me to talk about some of my cases, but actually it boils down to people. I work a lot with the young attorneys, the paralegals, and my support staff.
But that offers a lot of variety.
It does.
How about you, Pete? What do you like about insurance?
Well, probably making deals. My primary responsibility is finding and buying property as income producing, and that typically means office buildings or condominium communities.
You mentioned you had 4 children, Denise. I know you must be busy.
I really am. Our oldest son, David, just graduated from college. He's living in an apartment here in town.
As you can see, dinner is such a great time to get to know the guests. And you can do this by asking questions about their lives, their kids, their work. And they'll know you're not just after their money. You value their friendship. During dinner, you will likely be asked by a guest to talk about your ministry. And you'd be wise to give only a 1 or 2 sentence answer at this time. You want to save the heart of your presentation for later. Now dinner is over, and everyone has moved to the living room.
And so thanks so much for coming. As you know, we invited you to hear about the work Paul and Leah are doing together. We've been supporting them now for about 4 years and are really excited about their ministry. They've been doing some exciting things together. And Paul, would you tell us a little bit about your work?
Thank you, Dick, and Trudy, thank you for a delicious dinner. We really appreciate both of you opening your home and inviting you guys in to hear about our ministry. For over 10 years now, Leah and I have been in full-time ministry, and we never get tired of sharing about what God is doing in the lives of people.
Everywhere I look, I see people who are lost without the love and message of Jesus Christ and the urgency.
And that's just another example of how God is using this ministry to bring people to Himself. And Leah and I are just thrilled to be a part of it.
As you can imagine, a lot of my time is spent managing our home and our children. However, one of the highlights of my week is meeting in a discipleship group with women from my neighborhood. It's been exciting to see God work.
We'd like to ask you to consider joining us as a partner in ministry. I want to make it clear that we're not going to ask anybody to make a decision tonight, but I would like the opportunity to call you in a couple of days and see if the Lord has led you to be a part of our financial team in the same manner that Dick and Trudy have decided to come alongside us. Perhaps you would consider giving $50, $75, or even $100 a month. It's people like you that allow us to continue in our ministry.
Trudy, your friends are so nice. Just this evening, I feel like I already know them.
We have a lot of fun together. What you two shared tonight about your ministry was really interesting and powerful, and I learned a lot of things that I didn't know before. Dick and I will be praying for the two of you and that everybody...
I think you can see that this is a simple and effective approach. It's a strategy that will work for you time after time. A small dinner with new friends, and since they're now your friends, you will look forward to calling them back for their response. Paul's and Leah's dinner hosts did an admirable job of having their friends attend. They also provided the names and phone numbers of their guests, and Paul made sure he got business phone numbers so he could reach some of them during the day. Back at home, Paul continues to call the people he and Leah met at the small dinners.
We really enjoyed getting to know you and Margie the other night. How'd your trial go last week?
Things went well. We were well prepared for this one, and there were no real surprises. The judge ruled in our favor.
That's great. I know that's got to be a load off your mind after last week. I was wondering if you and Margie have had an opportunity to decide about joining our financial support team.
Yes, we have, Paul. We've talked it over, and we'd like to give $100 a month.
Thanks so much. It'll be a big help to our ministry. We really appreciate you and Margie coming alongside us.
Well, we're glad to have a part.
We're really glad to have you be a part. I'll send you a letter in an envelope that explains how you send in your first gift. Let me double check your address. Honey, I just finished calling everybody back from the Myers party, and the Pool said not now, but to call them again in 6 months. The Spangler said $30 a month, and remember John and Margie McCall? $100 a month.
That's wonderful.
You will find that by adding the small group dinners to your already proven methods for raising support will greatly increase your effectiveness. In the how-to booklet that comes with this video, you'll find the step-by-step approach for setting up small dinners. There are 2 things that are very important to remember. 1, these dinners work best when your hosts invite the Christian friends they socialize with. And 2, dinners work so much better than desserts. You see, with a dessert, people are much less committed to attend than when they've been invited by a close friend for dinner. You know, there is one downside to having many small dinner parties. It's many additional pounds. In fact, after our last support trip using this strategy, my wife said to me, "Bob, if you were an inch taller, you'd be round."
The Lord raised several $100s a month new support.
That it's a natural, it's a relaxed setting.
Low pressure.
We found ourselves finding that we had made friends that night instead of just simply trying to raise funds.
And it was fun. It really works for me.